does not want to comply with the current law.
Yeah, which is not all countries. Because
that's true.
he has succeeded to many government censorship requests. I'll get more to that in a minute. Just to back up a little bit where this fight originates, as best I understand, and let me admit, I am no expert in Brazilian politics. This is my simplistic understanding. Effectively, it's kind of akin to a January 6th situation. Bolsonaro lost the election to Lula. He denied those results. You know, there was a whole spin-up of like Stop the Steal style activism online on places like Twitter, and culminated in this storming of a government building, again, kind of akin to January 6th. So in response to that, there was a crackdown on speech in Brazil, and you know, this ruling from this judge is part of that. By the way, it's worth mentioning that a larger panel of the Brazilian Supreme Court that I believe had 5 members on it unanimously backed up this judge. So there's been an attempt to kind of personalize it, make it just about this dude, but this larger panel also backed up the ruling and found it to be, you know, grounded in Brazilian
Once I have
law.
items, I'm gonna murder
The specific thing that they're pointing to here is it all spawned from a request to take down certain accounts. Those accounts, as you mentioned, Sagar, the rulings of exactly which accounts they were, it was actually sealed. Elon has now actually doxed them and their real names and revealed who they were. They were all these Bolsonaro-aligned type of right-wing activists who the courts wanted them to block. There was a threat, apparently, that this is according to Elon, that their representative in the country could face personal arrest and prosecution. So he removes that legal representative from the country, and then that's actually the piece that triggers the suspension. Is under Brazilian law, if you are going to operate a social media platform in the country, you have to have a legal representative. Elon refused to name a legal representative of Twitter in the country, and so that's the specific thing that ends up sparking this whole situation. For the people of Brazil, there's no doubt that this is I mean, the VPN thing is crazy.
Cracked right now.
It's not clear how that would be enforced, or if that's actually gonna, you know.
What are we supposed to do against an Athena, bro?
Fining people $9,000.
Loki was on right last I had seen him.
In any country, anywhere, but also, you know, specifically in the country of Brazil.
Yeah.
Insane, given, you know, I'd have to look up what the average, like, median salary is per year there, but that's wild, right? And in the same way that when you ban Twitter, Telegram, WhatsApp in countries like China and countries like Russia, obviously it's a free speech issue for the people of Brazil. I think with regard to Elon, though, specifically,
and then he ults a fucking minion wave.
In the context of thinking of this as
what do you think was gonna fucking happen? You ulted a minion wave. You're fucking
I say that is because, as I alluded to before, and we can put C3 up on the screen, when it was countries with leaders and political movements that
I'm gonna go back for an item.
Elon is ideologically aligned to, he agreed to
and then some
request.
Apparently.
He did it with Turkey, he did it with India. These were kind of the 2 most famous examples. When we interviewed Jack Dorsey, he made a point that was really important. That was actually that, listen, under my leadership, there were all kinds of, you know, issues that we criticized at the time, but they actually had a common free speech understanding, and they pushed back on more government censorship requests than Elon has now that he is, you know, in charge of and owns Twitter. Some 83% of government censorship requests have been agreed to by Elon Musk. So you ask yourself, okay, well, what's different between Turkey and India and Brazil? And it's hard not to come to the conclusion that the difference is an ideological one. And so that's why in one instance he says, yes, I will help you, government of Turkey, government, you know, Modi in India. And no, I will not in the country of Brazil. The other reason that I say that is because another thing we talked about at the time, Sagar, is that we disagreed with, by the way, at the time, I continue to disagree with. His definition of free speech was, and this is how he justified it in India and Turkey.
I don't know, maybe if he actually pushed, did anything?
That's what I have to follow, and that's my definition of free speech. He said this in particular in a big interview sit-down he did with BBC that you guys might remember. Let's take a listen to it.
That was my first death. How many times has he died? 2?
Adhere to the law, and if people want the law changed, they should talk to their elected representative and get the law changed.
Maybe don't build stacks in a fucking
But if you want us to go
arena game.
beyond the law, that is us.
Get some kills then.
Censors. And I'm against censorship. I'm in favor of freedom of speech. And freedom of speech only is relevant when people you don't like say things you don't like. Otherwise, it has no meaning.
So, sorry, that was actually the Don Lemon show. There was a different interview with BBC. You can put that up on the screen from CNN, wrote up the interview. But he makes very similar comments about, you know, he said he